Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pet Pals. I am, of course, Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Our first guest today with Tammy is MJ, and she is one of the younger dogs on the adoption floor right now. She's an 8 to 10 month old pit bull mix, and she is super sweet and very treat and food motivated. Since she discovered there were treats in the room, she is doing anything and everything she can possibly do to get a hold of those treats. MJ is, towards the end of her puppyhood, so she's probably not going to get very much bigger. She's going to be a nice little pocket pitty. She's weighing in at about 33 pounds right now, so she's a great size and she is adorable. She's got a couple little black spots on her ears, and she has that nice little one black eyebrow that just kind of sets her apart and makes her so adorable. When she came in, she did have a little bit of vomiting and diarrhea, so we dewormed her more than we would maybe do as a general dewormer, so that she's feeling a little bit better, and she's made her way over to the adoption floor. Because she is under the age of 1 year, she will be adopted through our puppy process, which means that we'll take up to 4 applications for MJ, and then we will pick the best family for her, and then we will also be charging $150 for our puppies. That's our standard adoption fee for those guys. According to her behavior assessment, she keeps her kennel pretty clean. She's friendly and excited when you approach her kennel. She reacts favorably to other dogs. She's easy to obtain, but she is a puppy, and she's still learning how to walk on leash. So that's something that you'll have to be very consistent with her with. She loves to be petted. She's just an all-around good dog, but she will need some training to teach her some basic manners, walking nicely on the leash, knowing sit, knowing not to jump up on people because you want treats, just all of those typical puppy things. But since she is so food motivated, she'll probably be a quick learner if you're doing positive reinforcement training. If you have any questions about MJ or you'd like to see her, the first step is always going to be to come into the shelter and visit. You can visit us Monday through Saturday. Our address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue. Puppies aren't for everyone, and our next guest is an adult dog. This is Bentley, and he's about 3 years old. He is a lab mix. He is also Lyme positive, which is something that you want to make sure that you're aware of, understand how that works, talk to your vet about it before making Bentley here a part of your family. Bentley made his way to the shelter because his owner was having surgery, was gonna, not be able to properly care for him for several months. So it wasn't fair to Bentley, so they brought him here to us so that we could find him another home. Bentley has previously lived with other dogs. He's playful, he walks nicely on leash, he rides well in a car, he's friendly, but all of those things are kind of once he gets to know you. Before he's comfortable with you, Bentley is definitely one of our shyer dogs on the adoption floor. He's afraid of loud noises. When strangers approach his kennel, he can kind of back away from it, kind of hide near the back of his kennel. He also barks. It's not because he's an aggressive dog, it's because he's just scared. He needs a little time to get to know someone. He's very familiar with Tammy, so he's kind of hanging out with her. He's used to her. She makes him feel safe when he's here with some of us that he's not as familiar with. Because he is so shy, we have decided that he would do better in a home where there are either adults only or the children are 13 years old or older. That is because he, as a shy dog, younger kids make lots of fast movements, lots of loud noises, and that can be very stressful for him. So, it's an issue of his quality of life. We don't want him to be in fear all the time, but it's also, we don't want him to have a fear reaction that could possibly hurt the kids. So that's really important. We're not just making these designations and requirements for our benefit. We're really doing it for the benefit of the public and for the animals in our care. If you were interested in making Bentley part of your family, you can come in and visit with him. All of our staff say that once he gets comfortable with you, he's very sweet, he's very energetic, loves to play in the play yard. You definitely want to take a little bit of time. If you're interested in Bentley, maybe meet with him more than once so that he gets comfortable with you, so you can really see his true personality. You can visit with him on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 5, Wednesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 8, and Saturdays from 10 to 4 here at our facility. Our next guest is a return guest. We wanted to showcase Jackson again because Jackson is an amazing dog. He has a ton of potential, but he is a 50-pound untrained puppy. So he does a lot of jumping, and that's a huge turnoff for people. But he has the ability to be so amazing if someone just puts a little time into it. So we wanted to really talk about Jackson again and give people another chance to learn everything there is about him and to understand how quickly he learns, and that his kind of negative puppy behaviors can easily be turned around. So Jackson is about 7 months old. He is a tricolor Tree Walker Coonhound mix, and he is a very, very intelligent dog. But he is also just your typical goofy hound dog puppy. Things that he needs to really work on, a little bit of self-control is going to be good for Jackson. Self-control in that he knows how to sit, he will sit, but then he gets so excited he wants to be back up. He needs to learn to kind of stay in that position. He gets so excited he wants to jump up on people. So he just needs to learn that he needs to keep his feet on the ground. He also needs a little help with learning what he can and can't put his mouth on. This is why it's really important when you get a small puppy to train him properly, him or her properly, because then you're going to get a big dog like Jackson who still behaves like a 3-month-old puppy. But he has quickly learned sit. He responds really well to clicker training. He's learning off. He knows how to trade. He has a ton of potential, but he just needs someone who is going to be committed to continuing to work with him. It's going to require a lot of patience, a lot of time. Jackson is a much bigger dog, but you're going to have to train him as if he were that small 3-month-old puppy. But fortunately, because he is so smart and so treat motivated, and he's also very toy motivated, you have to give him a treat. He will learn very quickly and hopefully be a great companion dog. If you want to visit with Jackson, you can come in to the shelter. We are open 6 days a week to the public, Monday through Saturday. Our next dog is the oldest dog on the floor right now. This is Chief, and he's 7 years old. He is a white and red pit bull mix, and the first thing that everybody notices about Chief is his eyes. He has the best eyes. He's got little brown circles around it. He's got like the perfect eyeliner. Just kind of draws you into his face. He's super handsome. Right now he's very into all of the smells that are on this rug. He's just a very sweet, lovable older guy. You might think that at 7 years old he's not really into playing so much. I've taken him out on a walk recently, and he got into the grass and he was just jumping around, kind of frolicking in the grass. He was having a great time. So he still has that potential to play. I was trying to see what he knew as far as any cues. He didn't really seem to know sit or down or any of those things, but he's a very kind of easygoing, mild-mannered dog. He walks really, nicely on leash. Initially, when he first gets outside, he's a little excited, but the longer you're out there, he kind of settles into a nice stroll with you. He has kind of an interesting bark/cry. He's kind of got a little like chatty, whiny kind of thing that he does when he wants attention, which some people can find really endearing and adorable, and other people might find a little bit annoying, but it's all part of who Chief is. He also loves to be scratched. His His little polka dots are kind of his favorite scratch spots that he really likes. As you can see, he will get a little weak in the knees when you get those right spots, and it's so convenient because they're marked right there for you, so you don't have to seek them out. They're easy to find. But he's just a really kind of sweet older dog. Older dogs make great pets because you know what you're getting when you're taking them home. Their personalities are pretty set. You can still take him out on nice long walks. You know, you can do a lot of different things with him, but you don't have to worry about the puppy and all of those behaviors. According to Chief's family, he was brought here because they no longer could afford to take care of him, and they had him for 7 years, so they had him his entire life. He's good with cats, dogs, strangers, children. They say he's playful, energetic, friendly. He rides well in the car. He's used to vet checks. If you're looking for a nice, sweet, older dog, come in and visit with Chief. Our adoptions for our seniors between the ages of 5 and 9 for our dogs are going to be $72.50. The last dog that we have on the show for you today is another one of our puppies. This is Palooza, and she is a 6-month-old lab mix, and she is also one of our shy dogs. She is probably even more shy than Bentley, who was on the show a little bit earlier. She's very afraid of loud noises and fast movements. We have also suggested that she go to a home with older children or adults only because of those traits that she has. She is slowly kind of becoming more comfortable here in the shelter. She's more open. She's not as fearful out here on the show today, but she does require a lot of patience. She will need a lot of socialization so that she learns that things like winter coats and hats and kids and adults and all different types of people are not scary. She's going to need exposure to other animals, lots of walks, taking her places, but taking her to a point where it's not too much for her. If you are taking her out to, say, the park and she's afraid of somebody who's riding a bike by, and you just keep her in front of those people all the time, that's gonna not help her. You wanna get her to a situation where she gets used to them, where she's not over her fear kind of threshold, where she can see them and get comfortable with them, but not to the point where, again, it's making her bark and making her really uncomfortable. Well, we want to thank you for watching the canine portion of our show. If you tune in after the break, we will be introducing you to some of our feline companions here at the shelter.
The Frederick County Meals on Wheels program delivers nutritious meals to homebound seniors and others who can't shop or prepare foods on their own. Sometimes the only smiling face a senior may see during the day is that of a Meals on Wheels volunteer. With almost 100 on the waiting list, the program needs volunteers and individual donations, as well as corporate sponsorships to supplement government funding of the program. Please call the Department of Aging at 301-600-1605 or visit our website to find out how you can make a difference with your thoughtful support.
Welcome back. Our first feline guest is Veda, and Veda is about 5 to 6 months old. And if you are a frequent visitor to the shelter, you might say, hey, I recognize that cat. She was returned after about 2 weeks. Her name before was Bella 3, but since we already have so many Bellas on the adoption floor and she had been given a new name, we decided to stick with that to make things a little bit easier as far as identifying who's who on the cat floor. Veda was brought back to us because they said she wasn't a good fit. She didn't get along with the cats in the house. She should be a one cat only. So here's the thing when you're introducing new animals to your family. If you have existing animals, it can take longer than 2 weeks for them to get adjusted. On our contracts, it says that we ask you give them at least 60 days before making any decisions about whether or not to keep them in your home. Some animals can adjust quickly in just a few days. Sometimes it takes animals upwards of a year to truly feel comfortable and integrated with their new families. So 2 weeks is really not enough time. It is a lot of work to integrate new pets, and it takes commitment and patience. And it's unfortunate that Veda didn't get a little bit longer to figure out the kind of animal hierarchy in her new home. So we're hoping to find her another home where she'll be a better fit, and hopefully that will be her forever home. Veda is a Torby, which means that she has kind of tortoiseshell coloring, but tabby cat stripes. And you can definitely tell that because you can see on her face and some of the other parts she's got kind of more orangey spots. Torbys, calicos, and torties are almost always exclusively females. It's like 0.1% or something like that can be male. It's very rare. So you always know what you're getting when you're going to see a girl when you see that kind of color and pattern. She's, in her cage, she's very playful. She's very outgoing. She likes to be held. She's a bit of a lap cat. She's playful, energetic. She's a kind of a typical kitten for this kind of age. She's a little older, so her personality is a little bit more set. So if you still want that playfulness, but you want to know kind of how they're going to be once they hit that year-old mark, Veda would be a great choice. If you're interested in Veda, her adoption fee is going to be $97.50 here at Animal Control. Our next guest is Mr. Kitty, and he is another animal who is unfortunately a return to shelter. Mr. Kitty's circumstances were a little different. He was adopted into a family with another cat. They had been in to visit with their children multiple times, and they hadn't had any issues. Once the cats were living in the home, the amount of dander was much larger than she had been exposed to previously, and she was having a severe allergic reaction. So the family did try to work things out and see if they could maintain their animals, but ultimately, the health and safety of their daughter had to come first. So they brought them back to us, and they were just, devastated. So Mr. Kitty is now looking for another forever home. He is a very handsome cat. He's one of the favorites on the adoption floor. He is perfectly happy to sit on a lap. He's super soft. He's just kind of pretty easygoing. One of the things that I find most amusing about Mr. Kitty is all the different ways that he sleeps. Sometimes it's just like a cat has melted. Sometimes he does a Superman pose where he's like full on arms out, legs out. Sometimes he's curled up with his face sticking between the bars. So every time you walk by, you kind of see him in a new and interesting place when he's taking his nap, which just kind of adds to the character of Mr. Kitty. In addition to being, incredibly handsome and incredibly sweet, he's also kind of got a quirky little silly side to him as well. He's about 3 years old. When he was here with us before, we noted that he had a grade 4 of 4 in need of a dental. So we went ahead and through the help of our sister organization Focus, we got Mr. Kitty that much needed dental. So his teeth are in good condition now. He, other than that, doesn't really have any major health concerns, so we've already taken care of that. He's already been neutered. All he needs is for the perfect family to come along and decide to make him theirs, because everything else is kind of taken care of. He's already been microchipped. He's up to date on his vaccines. He did really well in a home with children. He's calm, he's friendly. He's a great, just kind of mix of cats. It says that he loves to lay on beds. So you just can't beat that. If you were wanting to make this super handsome guy part of your family, the first step is going to be to stop in and visit with us, read over his medical, make sure that there's nothing there that jumps out as a concern to you, and then we can show him to let you interact with him a little bit and see if he's going to be a good match for you. This beautiful girl is Molly, and she is one of our seniors on the adoption floor right now. She's about 8 years old. She's a domestic shorthair, and she is a tortie. She is super sweet, but as an older cat, she's kind of set in her ways. She does, according to her previous owner, have a little bit of a fear of loud noises. She can be a little shy, but overall, she's very sweet, very able to be handled. She's kind of one of the more reserved cats on the adoption floor in that she hangs out where she feels comfortable. She's not necessarily sitting at the front of her cage all day long begging for potential adopters and visitors to lavish her with attention. She's pretty independent as well. But when I went to open her cage to get her out to bring her on the show today, she saw that somebody was standing there before I could even pull my keys out of my pocket. She came up to the front. So she is very interested in visitors, but she just doesn't necessarily need to be, drawing them into her all day long. She's perfectly happy to be on her own, just relaxing in her cage, which is probably how she'll be when she's in a home environment. She's probably not going to be one of those needy cats that's following you around all the time. She's going to be happy while you're at work to kind of have just the house to herself for a little bit. The reason that Molly was brought to us was the owner fell ill and her family members couldn't care for the cat because they already had 4 dogs in the home. So Molly has only had one owner. She was actually adopted from us, when she was still a kitten. So she's used to kind of the same type of environment, but she has had that stability. So hopefully she'll settle in nicely into a new home. But again, you want to be very patient with her because she was living with one person. She's used to that, and now her world has been completely turned upside down. So you want to have a little bit of patience and understanding as any animal is adjusting to a new home environment. But because she's also a senior, she has some things that medically that will need to be taken into consideration. She'll likely need a dental in the next 6 months, so getting her teeth nice and cleaned and taken a look at. And then she also has some hair loss that could possibly be from a flea allergy or just another type of allergy, maybe some over-grooming. So making sure that she's staying current on her flea and tick preventative will be important as well. We have another Torby for you, on the show in Tiger Lily. She's about 4 years old. She's a domestic shorthair, and she is also one of our shy cats. She generally likes to hang out in her bed, but she has become so much more outgoing in the last few weeks. Even though she might be starting out in her bed, when people come to her cage, she pops right out. She rubs up against the cage door. She wants to be given lots of love and affection. So she just needs a little bit of time before she's going to be just a really great, affectionate cat. The bed that she's in is a great bed for kind of the shy cats because it's kind of like a little hut, and they can go in there and feel safe and kind of hidden, but still can see everything. You can put them throughout your house if you have a shy cat so that they're still part of your family but have that safe zone. It's much better than if they were just to say be under your couch, under your bed, under a dresser or a table, because this can integrate them into your family, and it provides them with a scent soaker that smells like them. They feel like that's their territory. It's much more comforting for them, and we use them a lot here in the shelter for all of our cats, but especially the shyer cats. And then as they get more comfortable, we can give them beds that maybe are just flat so that they can sit in them and still feel that kind of safe, but they're more visible to the public. Tiger Lily, again, she's come a long way, and I'm sure she will continue to do so. She probably would have even let me take her out and put her in another carrier to bring her out on the show today, but I just kept her in her bed because I know that's where she feels comfortable. And so the least amount of stress that we can put on them, the better. She was previously owned her owner had too many cats and then had passed away, and so the family didn't really have any other recourse. So they brought some of those animals here to the shelter. She's previously lived with other cats, dogs. You're able to handle her, but they didn't really give us a lot of personality information. But she just is starting to adore attention and ask for it. So as long as she goes to a home where they continue to nurture that, she's going to be an amazing companion. If you're interested in meeting with Tiger Lily, you can stop by the shelter. Our kennels are open for visitation on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 5, Wednesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. The last animal that we have for you today is the oldest animal that we have in our care right now. This is Lizzie, and she is a 14-year-old domestic short-hair brown tabby. And she is another animal that unfortunately made her way to us because their owner passed away. Lizzie was adopted as an 8-week-old kitten, and she lived with her owner until just recently, 14 years old, quite healthy. So she is an amazing cat. Today was my first interaction with her, really. She was kind of hanging out in the back of her cage, just kind of chilling, and then as soon as I stepped in front of her cage and stopped, she made her way out. I opened the cage, she tried to step out, she wanted to be with people, so she's a really sweet, very well socialized cat. Went into her carrier really nicely, came out onto Tammy's lap really nicely and settled right in. So she is going to make an excellent companion. You can tell that she was really, truly loved. She's been around cats, dogs, babies, toddlers, children. She's a little timid at first, according to a previous owner, but then she kind of warms up rather quickly. She's friendly, calm. She's very easy to handle. I can attest to that. And as you can see, she's a lap cat. So she is definitely a gem. Some people are turned off by the fact that she might be an older cat. I think older animals are great because they are like this, what you see right now. They're very sweet, they're very set in their ways, you know what you're getting, they're much calmer, they're probably not going to be jumping all over things like kittens would, and they need homes just as much as any of the younger animals on the adoption floor. However, when you're getting into an older animal, sometimes they have more medical needs, so they can be a little bit more of a financial commitment. According to our vet staff who have looked over her, she will need probably a dental in her future. You want to make sure that you're doing all of her senior blood work just to make sure it's safe for her to undergo the anesthesia to have that dental cleaning done. And then she, as a 14-year-old cat, might have a little bit of arthritis, which is not that unusual. So just checking out for mobility issues and getting her treated with some medication to ease that kind of pain for her. But otherwise, she's very healthy, very friendly. She is front declawed, so if you're looking for a cat who has that procedure already done, then she might be a good fit for you. As a declawed cat and an older cat, it's very important that she be indoor only. She doesn't have the same mobility that a younger cat would, and she doesn't have that primary method of defense, that way to scurry up a tree, those types of things that will keep her safe. So you want to make sure that you're protecting her by keeping her indoor only. We want to thank you for tuning in and meeting Lizzie and all of the other animals that we've had on the show for you today. Please stop in and visit with us. You can always see us online as well. We have any number of social media outlets that you can follow and keep track of what's going on here at the shelter. Until next time, thank you for watching. We appreciate all of your support in the community as we help to find homes for the homeless animals in our community.